I am Gayatri, working as Assistant Professor in EC Department at SNS College of Technology. Today I am going to discuss about the topic routing, which comes under the unit Mobile Internet Protocol Network Layer and Application Layer, and the subject of Principles of Communication Systems. Routing is a vital communication mechanism that governs how the data packets travel from source to destination. It is nothing but routing. The effective routing ensures that the data is transferred across a network in an efficient manner, reliable and timely. There are two main forms of routing. The first one is static routing protocol and second one is dynamic routing. The static routing is also known as non-adaptive routing, which does not change the routing table unless the network administrator changes or modify them manually. The static routing does not use complex routing algorithm and it provides a higher or more security than dynamic routing. The advantages of using the static routing is that the no routing overhead for the router central processing unit, which means cheaper router can be used to do routing. It adds a security because only administrator can allow routing to the particular networks only. No bandwidth usage between the router is main three advantages of using the static routing. Next one is disadvantage of using the routing is that for the larger network it is a hectic task for administrator to manually add each router for the network in the routing table on each routers. The administrator should have the good knowledge of the topology. If the administrator comes, then they have to be asked manually add each router. So they should have very good knowledge of routers of the topology. Then the second routing is the dynamic routing. It is also known as adaptive routing, which changes the routing table according to the change in the topology algorithm. The dynamic routing uses the complex routing algorithm and it does not provide high security like static routing. Dynamic routing uses complex routing algorithm and it does not provide a high security like static routing. When the network changes, the topology occurs, it sends the message to the router to ensure that the changes, then the routers are recalculated for sending updated routing information. The advantages of using the dynamic routing is that easy to configure and more efficient at selected the best route to the destination remote network and also for discovering remote networks. Disadvantage of using dynamic network, it consumes the more bandwidth for communicating with other neighbors, less secure than static routing. The difference between the static routing and dynamic routing, in static the routers are user defined. The dynamic routing, the routers are updated automatically according to the topologies. The static routing do not use complex routing algorithm. It uses dynamic routing uses complex routing algorithm. Static routing provides higher more security and dynamic routing provide less security. The static routing is manual, dynamic routing is automatically updated. The static routing is implemented in small networks. The dynamic routing is implemented in larger network. In static routing, the additional resources are not required. In dynamic routing, the additional resources are required. In static routing, the failure of the link disrupts the rerouting, whereas in dynamic routing, the failure of the link does not interrupt the rerouting. So, the static routing and dynamic routing, which will be adapted depending on our topology. The assessment is dynamic routing automatic. Which protocol uses dynamic routing? Why is static routing preferred? Thank you.